Hello, friends. Got a few clips from the debate last night. It was a good night. Let's get right into it.
First blood at last night's, that's one of her songs, first and possibly only presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Now, Harris was consistently on the offense against Trump. We've got team coverage, but we're going to begin with Weijia Zhang, who was there in Philadelphia. Weijia, good morning to you. How are things looking on this morning after?
Good morning to you, Gail. Good morning to everybody. Well, both sides are claiming victory after a contentious debate that was filled with heated exchanges. Vice President Harris repeatedly tried to bait former President Trump, and her team says he took it every time. When the debate was over, Harris almost immediately said she's ready for a second one. Trump says he's still thinking about it.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
That was the most cordial moment of the night, but the debate was on from the first topic, the economy.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run.
And on the issue of reproductive rights.
The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
Each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it.
In Taylor Swift's endorsement, she cited Harris's choice of Tim Walz as her running mate and his standing up for a woman's right to her own body. Harris tried to provoke her opponent again when foreign policy took center stage.
It is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors.
Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me.
A former prosecutor, Harris tried to make the case against Trump by highlighting his legal challenges.
I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference.
While Trump blamed the Democrats' rhetoric for the July assassination attempt against him.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy.
One of the most fiery exchanges of the night came when Harris criticized Trump's rallies.
You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics.
Trump also defended his questioning Harris's racial identity.
I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her.
I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
And when the former president tried to turn the debate to
A spokesperson for the city of Springfield tells CBS News that there have been no credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed by immigrants. Following the debate, Trump made his way to the spin room, an unconventional move to get his message out, where he declared it was his best debate ever. Nate.
Thank you for the clarification on the eating of the pets, Weijia. We appreciate you.
Shouting, constantly interrupting himself, not just going down tangents, but being unable to finish a thought, seeming very frustrated, very angry, very negative, and very tired. In contrast, Kamala Harris appeared to be sort of light on her feet, quite puzzled by him. The two-shot of him squinting and hunching and seeming to be having physical trouble squeezing the words out, certainly squeezing the sentences out, while she just looked at him absolutely puzzled by where it was he was going. I think that visual may be as much of a takeaway as anything that was said. That said, boy, what was said? Trump repeatedly coming back to the same lines over and over again about world crime rates being low, and that being the explanation for America having high crime rates. He said strange things like all Democrats wanted Roe versus Wade overturned. He said that it is legal to kill children in the United States. He insisted that he saw something on television about eating dogs. That was one of the weirdest moments of the debate, saying he saw it on television, so therefore he knows it's true, and so therefore what the police said about it can't be true. Kamala Harris kept going back to her plan, her campaign, but also kept going directly at him. She told him that military leaders who have worked with him have told her that Donald Trump is a disgrace. As she said to him, that you are a disgrace. She described him as confused and unable to understand that he lost the election. She said he was fired by 81 million people, and he's having a very difficult time processing that. She said he was handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times. She said people leave his rallies early due to exhaustion and boredom. In talking about the Russia-Ukraine war, she said, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv if you were president, with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch? I've never seen a starker contrast in presentation from 2 candidates in any debate, in any type of contest, in any political race.
I think that's because there hasn't been one. Now, I think that we all know that maximum humility is required of us, particularly in the next 57 days. We do not know the outcome of the election. Yeah. But if these matter at all in the outcomes of said elections, it should be over. Because she didn't just prevail in every exchange. She prevailed at the humaning. Questions that were deeply personal, she turned into questions not about herself, not about her campaign, not about the Democratic Party, not even about Donald Trump, but about the country. The whole beginning was, I don't know if he noticed, his synapses did not seem to be firing, but she got out her entire economic agenda, the thing that Chris Christie suggested she do, use this as an opportunity to say what
in the first 2 minutes.
She did it in about the first 8 minutes. Yeah. It was all out there. You know, to the degree that Trump has support because his supporters are scared or nostalgic about an America that's slipping away. I suppose that was somewhere in there. You know, for what it's worth, the Drudge Report has him, a picture of him with the cat saying it's over. I mean, and to the degree that it's our job to cover what the campaigns do and the political apparatus, the Trump campaign is going to plans B, C, and D, and they have them. You know, they're dark and they're dirty and they're heinous.
What do you mean?
You know, they're going to the types of things that Trump tweeted about, the threats, the retribution, the placement of allies on election boards, as they've done in the state of Georgia. Because this did not win Trump any new voters.
Lauren?
You know, we are now seeing maybe the second presidential debate in history where Poland might be the deciding issue. that point you isolated, 800,000 Polish people in the state of Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris reached out directly to those voters. If she got 10,000 of them to focus on the threat to Poland that Vladimir Putin represents, she may have won the presidential election in that particular response. Let's start at the beginning. When they entered, I was wondering what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Would there be a handshake?
Yeah.
We're going to see that video more than once. It's Donald Trump running away from her. It's Donald Trump trying to turn away as the adult in the room approaches and crosses to do what every presidential candidate before her has done in that situation, which is to extend her hand to the other candidate. And Donald Trump runs away from it until he can't. Mm-hmm. She literally has to corner him to shake his hand, and she does it. 2 things I would point out quickly about it. You heard the person who was president of the United States on January 6th say to the American people, I wasn't responsible for security. President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief is what this job is about, and he's saying when they're attacking the Capitol and I'm doing nothing for 2 hours and more than 2 hours, I wasn't responsible for security. Another thing you isolated where he said that Democrats and everyone wanted Roe versus Wade overturned. Here's the problem with that lie. That's his worst lie of the night, because he was lying to the voters about the voters.
Yeah.
He was lying about you, and you know it.
Yeah.
More than 60% of the country is sitting there saying, he's lying about me. I'm a Republican, and I didn't want Roe overturned. I'm a Democrat. I'm an independent. I didn't want Roe overturned. He actually lied directly to the voters about the voters.
Joy?
I think the moment that the debate went completely sideways for Donald Trump was the moment when Vice President Harris was very smart about saying, I'm the only person. This was an answer about immigration. David Muir asked about illegal border crossings. We knew that question was coming, that they were going to talk about that, talking about it reaching a record high, numbers have dropped, blah, blah, blah. She says, I'm the only person on this stage who's prosecuted transnational gangs trafficking drugs and human beings. She talks about that bill that was on the table that Donald Trump called Republicans and said, don't vote for, because he wanted the issue, but he didn't want to solve the problem. He just wanted the issue for the election. And then she did what I think is the smartest thing of the night, and it is the thing that we got from Hillary Clinton that she was being advised to do. Get him with the one thing that will completely destabilize him for the rest of the debate, and it did. And you named it before. It's when he said, essentially, she said that we need a leader who focuses on solutions. He's going to talk about immigration when it's not even the subject, because he kept going back to the millions of people and they're all criminals. And he kept doing it. And she called him on it. And she said, note that he's going to talk about immigration when it's not the question. And I invite you to attend one of his rallies where he talks about Hannibal Lecter. And I want you to know that people at these rallies start leaving early. What you won't hear him talk about is you. That ended Donald Trump's, the cheese being firmly affixed to the cracker.
Yeah.
He literally, after that, could not stop interrupting. He could not stop going back. He could not stop going right back to his special place where he went on about immigration. He argued. He then turned around and interrupted and tried to keep arguing about crowd size. He tried to say we're going to World War III. He said millions of towns, Aurora, Springfield. He said that multiple times. They're eating dogs and cats. It was after that he went into the dogs and cats. David Muir breaks in and says, no, sir. There is no credible reporting about that. He kept rambling. I think what Vice President Harris managed to do was every single thing that the campaign beforehand said they wanted her to do. She got her policy points out. After this debate, what people will think about when they think about Vice President Harris is $25,000 for building a first home, $50,000 for a new business. They will think about the $6,000 tax credit, because she kept saying it.
Yeah.
And what he kept saying was rambling, bizarre nonsense that made him look old. It made him look unstable. It made him look not just unpresidential, but the look that was on Vice President Harris's face. I kept screenshotting her face. The look said pity. Yeah. She looked like she pitied him. And she kept looking at him like, are you okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she finally said, I think you're having a hard time connecting with reality. Donald Trump.
Okay, friends, let's get right into it. That was total domination. Let me start by saying, just because you repeat something over and over, like the Roe, everyone wanted Roe overturned, anyone with ounce of sense knows better than that. No one wanted that overturned except for maybe 40% of Republicans. He just keeps saying it. It doesn't make it true because you keep repeating it over and over. He just keeps doing it. He's just lying to your face. It's insane. But yeah, she just kept baiting him, and he just kept falling for it. You really want a president who's going to fall for being baited all the time. You just need to give him a compliment or call him out on something. He's going to fall. It's ridiculous. And, he just loves dictators. I mean, the guys he kept mentioning as if it's some kind of good reference, Viktor Orban. I mean, these are hard men, strong men. I mean, this is not someone you want as a reference, not someone you want to compliment. And calling out, come on, Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham as if this is a good reference. I mean, come on. Those are not the people if you're trying to appeal to people in the middle and some people on the left, these are not people you want to use as references. Come on. What's going on here? The guy was totally unhinged. And she made him look, I hate to say this, like a, old man. A bumbling, stumbling old man who's unhinged. She just totally dominated. I mean, there should be no question for anyone who should be president. Anyway, guys, that's the way I saw it. Or seen it. But thanks for watching.